Hello. Welcome. Yes, I'm shoving dinner in my mouth. Oh, so good, doesn't it? Is the mustard still showing? I think it is. Oh, well. We've told people that you're live. I'm so excited. Do I still have mustard right here, y'all? Is there mustard here? No. Okay. Hey, y'all. If there's mustard and they didn't tell me, that's going to be a problem. Come on. Okay, it's tilted. It's got to be. This is why you don't shove food in your mouth before you go live, right, Alicia? Yeah. She's like, yeah, dummy. Me and the Joby are not getting along tonight. It wants to get along, and then it doesn't want to get along. I think it's ready for summer break. That's good enough. All right. I don't know. Probably I shouldn't be eating this hamburger before I start. Should I? No? It is a Whataburger. Do you guys know what Whataburger is? Yes. Alicia just gave me hearts, didn't you, Alicia? I knew it. I want the hearts to come from other people, but as long as it's from Alicia, that's all that matters. Whether it's real or not. All right.
Are you trying to say my hearts mean less to you than other people?
No. 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 Hope you start feeling better. Oh, thank you. Cheyenne, I'm allergic to me. Oh my God. Okay. No more food eating before I go live. So 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! All right, kids. We're ready. All 222 people are ready.
All right. Is it common for compensatory services, no special ed teacher, for 4 months to be offered during the summer?
Of course. Because that's no sweat off their back. Is that a Texas statement? So I don't take compensatory time in the summer unless that's really what the parent wants, because they're putting you in with the class that's already determined for kids for ESY. And while there's nothing wrong with that, compensatory time, lean in. Compensatory time is to return the student to where they would have been had the violation not occurred. So if you think a couple of hours for 5 weeks in the summer does that, you're probably not my client. So I had an offer like that today, and we said, it's going to be a no. You don't have to take the compensatory offer. You can negotiate.
Okay. A child has an IEP, has been diagnosed with ASD, ADHD, and gifted status based on the, I don't know how to pronounce this,
Wexler.
Cognitive.
Yep.
Wexler. Cognitive assessment. Is a district required to provide above grade level instruction under FAPE?
So FAPE is about access to general ed curriculum. That's what it's about. So while gifted children are often considered an exceptionality, there's not outlined an IDEA about specially designed instruction as it relates to that. Teachers teach the state standards. Do we have programs in school for kids that are gifted, kids that are advanced? We do in some capacity, but it's not a requirement, nor is it usually across the board. So my first focus for kiddos is, what is their disability? What is the deficit? What's the skill that I need to teach? And could they produce based upon gifted expectations in an advanced class?
Okay. How can I, son,
Sorry.
Excuse me. You're fine. How can I get my son the accommodations of recorded lectures and classroom assignments? My son is a rising freshman in high school. He has an IEP, OHI, with ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, SPD, and anxiety.
So I think the question was, how can you get him recordings of the teaching? Is that right?
Yeah, recorded lectures and classroom assignments.
In high school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's going to be a bit of a reach, right? So if he's in the classroom, he should be able to, while he's in the classroom, participate. So we can certainly put in repeated review, an opportunity to preview the instruction, opportunity to have the review early, but you'd be hard pressed to find a teacher that's going to let you record their entire class.
Yep. My daughter has been cutting her hair in 7th and 8th grade. I've spoken to the school about this many times. She does have an IEP, and they did nothing about this behavior. We did put it as a parent concern. Should the school have done more?
I mean, if a child wants to cut their hair, there's nothing that a teacher could do to stop that. So, our job is to identify the deficit and then teach a skill to self-manage their disability. So for me, I would want an FBA, a functional behavior assessment. What is the function of that? I think often we're looking to mitigate the outcome without addressing the foundational cause. But certainly, you can't stand on top of a child and make sure that they never make a wrong decision.
Okay. Is there a time frame in which an FBA has to be conducted? It is not a part of the initial assessment process.
So there's not an exact timeline on anything that's not part of the initial evaluation. The language in the law says a reasonable time. Now, what I think is reasonable and what you think is reasonable might be two different things. I certainly want schools to take the time that they need to do that evaluation, whatever it is, whether it's an FBA, an OT, AT for communication. I don't want to rush them, right? So when I am notified that there's going to be a new evaluation, a new assessment, when I'm at that meeting, I will say, Charlene, what is the due date for that? I think a lot of times parents at that meeting don't ask for a due date, and then it's like, you're pregnant for 20 months. So I'm going to ask for a due date, knowing that in almost all across the United States, it's either 30 school days, 45 school days, or 60 school days. So you would never have anything that exceeded that. But certainly you want to give them time to do it. If it's an FBA done inside of the classroom staff, that should take a couple of weeks. If you're bringing in somebody from the district, a psychiatrist, psychologist, an LSSP, a social worker, then it might take a little bit more time.
All right. Who do I report my school to for denying my son a 504?
So I don't know who you report them to. The first question would be, did they deny them because they did an evaluation and they weren't found eligible? Or did they just deny not even doing a 504 evaluation? So I would never ask for a 504, and I would never ask for a 504 evaluation. I would ask for a special ed evaluation because that's robust, and testing does one of two things: it identifies or eliminates. If in fact the outcome is your child has a disability and they need a 504, that will occur in the special ed testing. The great thing about the federal law, 300.111, it simply says that the LEA, the local education agency, is required to test children who have suspected disabilities. And so I think you're better at child find and a violation of a child find there.
All right. Dude says hi.
Hi.
He's talking a lot right now. All right. Would you suggest holding your kid back ESY or summer school first grade child?
Would I suggest holding them back ESY or summer school? Those are three different things. So I would suggest holding your child back if that is the right decision for your family and they are in kindergarten or first grade. If they have not met the bulk of the state standards, then I would greatly consider that. It's a personal decision. ESY and summer school are not going to make up if you need to be retained. I think kids should enjoy their summer. I think ESY should be done if it's a benefit to your child, and same thing for summer school. Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
I couldn't agree more. It says, can a child that has a pending IEP evaluation under the third grade be retained.
In some goofy states, we do that. Let's list them, shall we? Florida, Louisiana, goofy. Goofy, goofy, goofy.
Correct. Okay. I have a preschooler with a disability and is placed in a gen ed classroom. He's not doing well. What can I do?
Well, you need to make sure that he's not in preschool, that he's in ECSC. So early childhood special education is different than pre-K. They have different criteria.
All right.
Can we all agree that I really like Charlene's sweater today? It's very much in the Karen wheelhouse. I'm just saying.
Yes, we can all agree to that.
Okay, good.
What's next if the parent denies a change of placement for her son, even though it would benefit her child?
Well, so it's not about parent denies, school denies. We are committee. We're committed to each other. We make decisions as a committee. Myself and my partners get files all the time where, respectfully, the parent has run the school, and that's as inappropriate as the school running the parent. We make a decision as a committee because the information from the parent and the information from the school has equity. If you're just letting the parent do what they feel like, that's not an informed decision. We make decisions on two things. What does the law say, and what does the data show? That should end all conversations. And we certainly don't make decisions on what a human is feeling about their child at the time.
Perfect. So now it's my turn. So my son is in a self-contained classroom. He has autism. He is social, verbal, potty trained, friendly, and extremely loving. No behavioral issues ever. His classroom is full of students with aggressive and severe disabilities. Academically, my son is on kindergarten level, and he is going into 5th grade. I don't want him in a self-contained room, as it does not seem like the right fit for him, and he is scared every day. Time is taken away from him in order for his teacher and aides to deal with more severe students. I'm told because he is on an alternative standards, self-contained classroom is the only option if we want him to remain on an alternative standard, which we do. Is this true?
It sounds like you're in Florida. I don't know that it's true. It doesn't sound blanket true. So what's true is LRE, the least restrictive environment. I don't find children that solely need to be in self-contained from the second the bell rings to the last minute. I just don't find that to be true. Each of us probably have a couple of kiddos a year, maybe, that meet that criteria. First of all, if he's in a behavioral class, I would go to the committee and say, he doesn't meet the requirement to be in this class. You have to have severe I just had a kiddo that I got out of a behavior setting in Florida. It was a behavior class, and he was traumatized. He would come home and tell his mom, the police came, the ambulance came. It was a behavior class, and he was not a behavior kiddo. So we don't want to make generalizations just because he has the diagnosis or the disability of autism to think that its characteristics are solely behavioral, right? Autism is a spectrum. It can be presented in a number of ways. That being said, if he is functioning at the kindergarten level academically and he's in 5th grade, you're definitely going to need something other than just general ed. So I'd go back to the table and say he clearly doesn't meet eligibility for this category, and then try to look at content area. He can be in general ed for science and social studies and music and PE and art. He probably needs to be in resource for ELA, reading, and math, and then we go from there.
Perfect. Students in our local district can be assigned in-school suspension for 1 to 5 days. During the suspension, students are in a room with a certified gen ed teacher. Are special ed students still required to receive services, accommodations, modifications, lessons from the intervention of specialists during their in-school suspension? District administrators don't seem to think so.
Yeah, good thing. We don't care about what you seem. A seam is part of a pair of pants, but So when a child has an IEP and you've decided to move their educational placement, DAP, self-contained, the juvenile justice system, in school suspension, you have the onus, duty, and requirement to implement the IEP with fidelity. You chose to move them there, and you still have to deliver the IEP, the totality of it. I just finished a state complaint on a kiddo. Of course, it was found substantive. You have to deliver the IEP. So before Mr. and Mrs. Principal, you decide to put him in in-school suspension where he faces the wall by the registrar all day, you might want to figure out that that's a denial of a free, appropriate public education.
My school has recently lost 3 of its 4 EC teachers. None of my students are receiving their services, and the IEPs are in non-compliance. As their teacher, what can I do to get them help? I'm in North Carolina, by the way. I'm not sure if that matters or not.
I would let an amazing advocate know. I just filed on a school district self-contained class, a life skills class, and they haven't had a teacher since Thanksgiving. So what I had to do to file for the Office of Civil Rights is I had to file one parent who would give me consent to file, and so I'm filing a systemic complaint on entire self-contained class. It's terrible, it's awful, and it's unacceptable, because what happens is when myself or one of my partners opens these complaints get open, literally the same day they staff the class. So I think our kids in special ed have the same value as the general ed kids.
I received 2 different students, age 4, to the local ISD for screening due to significant speech concerns that are heavily affected to intelligibility in everyday conversations. These were both mid to late year, school year, end of the year referrals. Each time the speech therapist simply brought in a little flip chart and asked the students to label what they saw in the picture. Then told me the child was on track for development. I heartily disagree with their assessment, but I didn't know how to bring it up to the ISD. Any advice?
Well, that's not a formal evaluation any more than me going like this and waving in front of somebody and going, oh, I think they can see. The F in FIE stands for full, and it always is formal. We want formal evaluations. Evaluations identify or eliminate. So if the school won't go back and fix that, then ask for an IE at the expense of the district.
I'm asked by administration. I'm currently an EA, former AEA with the district, to help guide and teach the brand new EA and the uncertified CBI special ed teacher in the classroom. I told administration I've been helping, guiding, supporting, and teaching these 2 adults for the past 5 months. It's not my job to help and teach the teacher and the EA to do their job. It's your job, administration, and train personnel, not mine. I reminded the administration my job is to assist special needs students achieve their IEP goals for a successful, independent life for themselves and their families. My priorities are the children, not the adults. Was I out of line?
No. I think you're the only one in line. It's horrible what schools dump on their staff members. I mean, whether it's a life skills teacher telling them they could be an intervener, whether it's the behavioral teacher saying they can do the OT, we've got to stop doing that. And they do it because employees are afraid of their principals. I don't know why the teacher unions don't step up and help and support more. Not that I'm ever been a teacher would know about that, but it's unacceptable.
You said that in ISS, students have to receive their IEP services and accommodations. Does that mean the student goes back to the special education room to receive that?
Oh, no. You said the student has to be an in-school suspension. That's what you wanted. So you go over to that in-school suspension location and deliver their IEP. That's what you wanted. Now you got it.
Does 8 days total of ISS call for an MDR, or is that only for out of school suspension?
So it's out of placement, right? So you're obviously out of placement because you're not in your place that we agreed upon in the IEP. You know, when I have kids that start to escalate or present, as I say, I call the MDR. Let's have the MDR now. Let's have the MDR before Travis gets his leg broken. Let's have an MDR before somebody throws a chair at Charlene. Let's have an MDR before Levi is in the class and his friend accidentally hits him. Let's have the MDR now. It's preventative instead of responsive.
Can you explain what a self-contained room is?
It's a room that allegedly the entire instructional day could occur. Notice I said allegedly.
My school told me that resource is general education teachers, not special education. Is that correct?
Let's say it with me. No. Because if that was it, that would just be another room, then be another general ed room. Ding, ding, ding. That's why it's not called the general ed room. It's called the resource room. So, resources in the federal code 300.115, and it's part of supplementary aids, things that we're doing additionally to help the student be successful as they access the general ed curriculum.
What is a cross-categorical room, and are there laws surrounding it?
Cross-categorical room?
Classroom.
So when I hear the word cross-categorical, I think of diagnostic testing. I assume that very sloppy language is talking about different kids with different disabilities. Every kid is different and all their disabilities are different. So I would assume that means that you have certain types of disabilities and with each other. It's a terrible phrase if we're using it to identify humans. Because it's in every building of a human full of cross-categorical. I am definitely a cross-categorical human, right, Christina?
Of course.
I've crossed several categories just today.
Okay, under the law, is a school required to test for dysgraphia and dyslexia? I was told by my school they don't test for that.
So that's why you want a full individualized evaluation. Sorry, I have a new ice maker. Let me turn that off. It seemed like a good idea to have it in here. So, hang on just a second, Travis. Let me turn this off. Hold on. If I even know how to turn it off.
Get it together, Karen.
I am trying to get it together.
Are you?
You know those little ice makers that are on the TikTok? It's
Yeah, I know. I run your social media. I seen you order it.
That was not English. That was Cajun. Order it. A-W-R. Okay, again from the top with feeling, Travis. I apologize.
All right. Under the law, is a school required to test for dysgraphia and dyslexia? I was told by my school they don't test for that.
So dyslexia and dysgraphia are the baby redheaded stepchild of specific learning disabilities. So it's very important that when you ask for testing, you ask for testing in all 7 Gs, all areas of cognition, and all 5 areas of achievement: reading, math, writing, OELC, oral expression, listening, comprehension. That will tease all of that out. That formal testing, looking for those SLDs, would then identify any of the DISs. But if you just go in and ask for a dyscalculia test or dysgraphia, no, there's not a requirement to do just that testing.
If a student has an IEP with documented PTSD, ADHD, and gets suspended, does the school have to provide detail and facts surrounding the incident that occurred for a superintendent's hearing?
So, I mean, if a child gets suspended, period, you'd have to provide detail and facts. I think what's important is that we make sure that we populate the document. So, today I was going through a document and they just said the student's able to understand the student code of conduct and abide by it. Well, the student has a very robust behavior intervention plan. So I said the student is able to understand the student code of conduct with modification based upon the understanding of the BIP. So it's important that we put that in there as a preventative measure, but certainly any of those things that cause a disciplinary action or suspension, you need a detailed report of what did occur.
Okay. As a parent, what do you do when the uncertified teacher is making more gains toward the child's IEP goals than the certified teacher she replaced.
Leave it. I leave it. I am sane. I know probably some of you don't think that, but if I've had paras that I don't even know if they had a driver's license, the nicest people in the world, really understood my kiddos and worked with them. That's all we're looking for, myself or my partners. We're not looking for perfection. It doesn't exist in education. It certainly doesn't exist in special education. And we only come in and we only file after we've tried to work with a district and they really will not fix anything and the student is not making even adequate, approximate gains on their IEP. But if you have a staff member that's gold, that's crushing it with your kiddo, zip it.
My son has been receiving a specific reading program for dyslexia for the last 4 years. He isn't finished with the program, but has shown progress. And our county BOE told me that they will no longer pay for the program. Is that legal to stop a program they allowed him to start?
It's legal to not have the name brand program, right? So we certainly still have to have a reading program. So I would say to them, I understand that you're stopping ABC program. What program are you replacing it with? Because his reading needs didn't go away. So we can certainly do, let's say we're talking about dyslexia. I mean, there's Orton Gillingham, there's Nyhouse, there is Wilson, and people are very passionate about all of those things, right? And this is going to hurt your feelings. I don't really care about the program. I care about the teacher that understands the student's disability and knows how to take that curriculum and apply it to that child.
Okay. Can IEP, braille cell. Can IEP decide based on testing data, formal and informal, and teacher observations, decide to move a student's placement from resource to self-contained without permission from the area superintendent?
Well, the superintendent has nothing to do with an IEP meeting. If you're not part of the IEP team and you're not one of the 5 stakeholders, you're not a consensus member. So today I sat in a meeting with literally probably 25 people. And the 2 people that did the most talking were myself, an attorney, and the executive director. Guess what the 3 of us weren't? Consensus members. We worked well together. It was fantastic. But we weren't the consensus members. Who are the consensus members? The LEA representative, right? That's a principal, assistant principal, sometimes a counselor. General education teacher, special education teacher, the parent, and then somebody that does evaluations and is able to answer questions about evaluations. I might have been in an IEP meeting today, wait for it. No principal. Not even like a junior principal. And so I just gently said, because I'm gentle, I said, is the principal there? Couldn't make it. Okay. Just, it's Tuesday. We're busy.
All right. If my child has a 504, gifted twice exceptional, can absences be included, excused to attend private enrichment or academic opportunities?
No. I like it though, but no. That would not be an excused absence under any district's handbook. If we did that, then everybody would come in when they got good and ready, right? Like spending the morning with Gigi at the donut shop. That would be enrichment.
Miss Charlene.
Nope, it's Christina.
I think Christina's one.
Special education admin are allowing my son's one-to-one to be pulled to serve, quote, higher needs students. Is that okay?
I would first say, how do you know that? And I would go to the district and give them a chance to fix that immediately, if not sooner. Otherwise, that's a state complaint.
Should students in special education follow the same schedule of general education peers?
That's a good question. If they're able to, there are some special ed students that are not able to. They're not able to tolerate the totality of the day. They're not able to tolerate the types of classes that are requirements. Maybe it's gym, PE, music, maybe that would be overload for them. I have kids that need to sit in almost a dark room to eat lunch, and so you mean literally schedule by schedule? No, we take into consideration is that appropriate.
The special education director said that if the special education teacher is absent, they can use anyone who's available.
Well, if they said it, it's got to be law. You know what the law is? Not what people said. It actually is in a law book and everything. So we just make it up as we go. So there's this little book that came out a couple weeks ago. Sorry, let me just move one client's folder from today. I wish I was kidding. It's my last client. Okay, so there's this little tiny book called this. See this book? It is the Office of the Federal Code, and there's 4 books as it relates to IDEA. This is part B, so 2 of 4. I would bet none of you can send me a picture of your school's IDEA book. So we have this in our link above, but this is the law. And so when you're in meetings and somebody says something goofy, what I say is, can you please send me a copy of that code by close of business? You're never going to get it. So unfortunately, we have all these rogue adults in schools saying stuff, and they're saying it's the law like their certificate depended on it. So it's not true, and it's unfortunate because it penalizes children.
What is considered predetermination?
Coming in on no and leaving on no. What do I mean by that? So the school has a position. Me and Charlene come in. We give them information that they haven't heard about. We frame the information in a way they haven't thought about. We point out that the diagnostician noticed that the child was very distracted, even though the psychologist didn't. So when we bring valuable information and the other party does not consider it, that is predetermination.
Excellent. Okay. My school district said that they spiral their goals so they don't segment them to every 9 weeks when they have a benchmark. They work on all the benchmarks all throughout the year. How can we tell what they've worked on or mastered? Is that legal?
So I don't know what the Hello Kitty they're talking about. So you write an IEP goal that has very pristine language, and that student either meets that goal or they don't. So we work on everything all the time, everywhere. It's going to be a no for me. So do we work on state standards throughout the instructional day? Absolutely. But you should have at the bottom of your IEP goals these 3 words: weekly data collection. So when did you work on this IEP goal? When did you work on this objective for this IEP goal? Because it's lined out.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go on. We have a ETR meeting in a week, and it sounds like they will be offering a 504 and not an IEP to our son. Our son has multiple eye diagnoses, one being ocular. I'm going to butcher the names of them, but
He has a vision impairment, and yes.
With a 20 over 100 vision and probably night blindness. Basically, he is on the spectrum for blindness, and the School of the Blind has been coming to see him every 3 months. Since he was probably was mistypo, but since he was 3 months. He currently has an IFSP. He was evaluated by a TVI. What we are hearing is the school district is feeling he is doing very well to give him an IEP. He does this well because we accommodate his entire life and have done so for many things to get to this point. Failing to continue this will set him back. I'm just at a loss as to what to do. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, so I mean, children that have sensory impairments, vision impairment, deaf and hard of hearing, deaf blind, who in my personal opinion obviously need services, are often penalized because they're doing well academically, right? So I would make sure that you had the correct vision testing. And I hear this from people in my meetings that sit from the state school of whatever, Kalamazoo, right? So what is the need for specially designed instruction? There's no doubt he needs accommodations, and who's going to implement that? So obviously he has accommodations around the way he has vision impairment, the way it presents on his skin, what adjustments need to be made. So I would pull out the ECC, the Expanded Core Curriculum. So if you type in Expanded Core Curriculum Iowa, you will see the 9 areas for vision impairment, and see if your student needs goals in those areas. Does he need orientation and mobility? Does he need visual aids made? And unless that sits inside of an IEP, there won't be somebody to produce that product. Have we done assistive technology to address all of his needs? So I would dial down on that and make sure that you're getting the right plan for him, because just because he's doing good doesn't mean he doesn't need an IEP. Thanks, you guys, for all the gifts.
I have a 17-year-old student on track for an occupational diploma. This means the student has to be independent to go out into the community to work. The student is toilet trained and has been cleared by OT as to having the ability to wipe themselves after a BM. Parents are requesting that the staff physically wipe clean the student. I don't think this is ethically correct. It is not helping the student to remain independent. It is not LRE, and it negatives the opportunity to receive an occupational diploma. Please advise.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's, I wouldn't say it's not LRE, I would just say it's not appropriate. So we're doing things because the student there's no acquisition of the skill. If the OT said the skill is there's acquisition of the skill, great. Maybe the parents are saying that he doesn't have that skill at home, and if that in fact is the case, you could always do in-home parent training. But if the student has a skill at school, we let them do it. If they can feed themselves, we don't run over and feed kids. If they can walk, we don't scoop them up. And so that's the point of special education, right? We've delivered the service, and now we can fade it because there's been acquisition of the learning.
I'm an instructor at a career tech. Many times, if my students have an IEP, they will have, say, math, reading and math goals, and specifically modifications or accommodations for their core classes listed. But if there is anything at all mentioning our classes, it will say only so and so will meet the requirements of their career tech program. How should I interpret that? Well, my inclination is to provide the adaptations necessary to support the student regardless. Does this wording suggest there is no obligation for the career tech instructor to do so?
That's a very long question. So, the great thing about when you get a child and you get their paperwork, you can adjust it. You can call the meeting. It's not like I sit in meetings all the time, and so do my partners. Well, he came with his paperwork. Yeah, that was 9 months ago. So that doesn't cut it. If I get a kiddo at Elm Elementary School and I don't know what's going on the last campus, or it's not appropriate here, you have a duty, the school has a duty to sit down and write the language to where it's appropriate. So then I would just call a review IEP meeting and say we're going to tighten up the language that clarifies 2 things. What is the school going to do, and what is the student going to produce? But meet the expectations is way too vague.
My particular program is more than a traditional classroom, but many of my fellow instructors, sounds like it might be a continuation, have very dangerous equipment, or their life work has a direct impact on the safety and well-being of others in the public, i.e. culinary, cosmetology, welding, construction, nursing, automobile repair. If a student's intellectual or physical disability either prevents them from following safety protocols or could impose a danger to live live work customers, what options should be considered for that student?
So, I mean, when you look at vocational, trade, technical programs that are in schools, your disability doesn't trump your ability to meet the state standards. So if I've been in the cosmetology program, which I was 100,000 years ago, I have to take a state test. I have to take a state test to get my license. There's no accommodations for it. So if you're going to be an auto mechanic, I hope that you know how to take a transmission on a car. If you're going to be a nurse, I hope you know how to start an IV. So the student either has the capacity to be successful at that, or they don't. And that's not a disability issue, that's an appropriate issue, right? You wouldn't put a child who had an intellectual disability sawing wood all day. That would be inappropriate. So when we do that transition supplement, we're looking at preferences and interest, and then aptitude. What could he participate in? But just to put him in a program that they're not going to be successful in is a denial of FAPE as well.
I have a student in a 12-1-2 setting class who is wheelchair bound with cerebral palsy. The student has a 1-to-1 with assistance. The nurse with changing diapers. The nurse is unable to change her for the rest of the year due to a medical procedure she had. The nurse sent my classroom, including the teachers, an email stating another staff member will have to help with the 1-to-1 with changing. How now as she can't. Is this even legal?
Yeah, I mean, most children that need to be diapered very quickly become a two-person lift. Very quickly for safety, right? Because if you get off balance, then you're both on the floor. So anybody in the school could fulfill that role. So hygiene for a child that needs to be diapered, whether they're 4 or 22. An adult that's gone through the processes can help with that. So it's not a requirement that you have to have a specific person doing it.
After filing intent to homeschool, does the school need to offer us IEP services?
Well, homeschool is not something that you can be reimbursed for. So there's no need to inform them of your intent. The intent, the informing the school of the intent is because you expect them to pay for that educational setting. So ABA therapy, a church school, a private school, whatever kind of school. But your homeschool is not one of those that they're going to pay for.
We're having trouble with the intervention specialist following the IEP. What can we do about that?
So I would email the school and say, when can we expect the intervention specialist to begin to implement the IEP? That's the language I use. So then that sort of verifies that it hasn't been followed. And additionally, does the school need to provide her training so that she understands how to deliver and execute the expectations?
My child is autistic, but the school wants to drop their IEP services because they're academically gifted.
Two totally different, they're not connected. So you can be the valedictorian and need an IEP. They're not connected.
Can a supervisor who's not in the ARD committee have a say if the student should be in a unit or not?
Yeah. Everybody at the committee that's been invited, all 28 of us today, could have had a say. There's something about me being in the middle that reduces the saying. So of course we're all committee members, and we're not all consensus members, but of course we can all talk effectively about the students' needs and what our opinions are.
We're close to grade level for my student, and we're being told that she's doing so well, it's time to move to a 504.
Okay. She's doing so well because the characteristics of her disability have been mitigated, or she's making good grades. Two totally different things. So there's a lot of IEP goals that have nothing to do with academics. Functional, communicative, social, emotional, language, related services, behavior, attention. So good grades, I don't care about your good grades. I just don't. I don't believe your good grades. Like 100 years ago when I went to school in the 70s and 80s, if we got a bad grade, we got it. Like a bad tattoo. So unfortunately, every kid that I serve now and all my partners, everybody, say it with me, everybody's on the AB honor roll. It's amazing.
Hallelujah to that.
Yeah.
All right, so what is happening at 8 o'clock Central tonight?
There must be a pew, pew, pew. Right,
There's
Alicia? Alicia,
almost
we
a
try
pew,
to,
pew.
I know, Alicia, you've listened to the recordings, and our pew, pew is pitiful, isn't it?
It's real sad.
And
I had fun last week. Leave me alone. You're not nice.
Christina took over your pew role. It was more of a poo, 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 poo.
It's more of a poo-poo, poo-poo. I know. But the
There's-
rest of it was better.
There's only one OG pew, pew, pewer.
That is very true.
So at 8 o'clock, we are going to be doing the Academy. So the Academy is a members-only group. And we meet every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, training on the federal law. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of hundreds of hours recorded. They're on the platform. So when you get access to that, you get access to all of them. We talk about the federal law, the application of the law, the spirit of the law, and who going to do that, and who going to check you. And it's really, really good. It's for very attractive people, so it's for you. And it's for people that want to know how to be the amazing advocate at the IEP table. Is that finger for me, or is that just, are you pre-pewing? I don't know what all that
That's
is.
not, that's this, well, it's this figure.
Okay, I'm not looking. So, Alicia, do you want to tell them how they can do that? Pew pew.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is you're going to go to www.specialeducationacademy.com. You're going to click the training tab at the top of the page. You're going to scroll down till you see the Academy. You're going to click on that. You're going to put in all your information. Yes, your credit card information. And right underneath where you're going to set your password, there's going to be these 3 little blue words. Have a coupon. You're going to click on that and type in all caps, TikTok Live.
Oh.
That's T as in Timothy, I as in Indigo, K as in Karen, T as in Timothy, O as in Oliver, K as in Karen, L as in Levi, I as in Indigo, V as in Victor, E as in Elephant, all caps TikTok Live, and you're going to get the Academy for 15 days for free. After that, your card will be charged on a 30-day cycle. If you want to cancel, you can cancel at any time. We all get one bad decision in life, so that's fine. But you know what? We'll always accept you back. So come on back whenever you're ready.
Did you hear us trying to find what the letters stood for? Like T is in trailblazer, I is in icicle. Like we just blew it. It's not as easy as you make it look, dear.
I know.
Very true. Is there any time for emojis?
Yes.
Time.
We like emojis.
Yes, it's emoji time.
I want to see some pretty emojis.
All right, let's see who's going to get my attention.
That's right.
I have a toothache tonight, so send some funny emojis.
Pew, pew, pew.
And the first one to come up with a tooth emoji.
Is there a tooth emoji?
I'm sure there is. Or a drill, or jackhammer.
A parent is upset because we won't put in unlimited absences in a 504. Well, they'll get happy in the same britches they got mad at.
Oh, there we go.
We don't
ICT.
put things in a 504 that are illegal. So unlimited absences, like just you're going to roll in your last day of senior year and go, da, 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 da. No, it doesn't work that way. I would like unlimited
Our special
absences.
education teacher's room.
Say it again.
No, you don't get that. Okay?
Say that
You
again.
don't get that.
What?
You don't get that.
I didn't get what?
Unlimited absences.
Oh, I don't get that.
No.
Did y'all miss me last Tuesday? Were y'all sad? I was sad. But I saw like 50 of you logged on anyway. I was very sad. We're in the waiting room. Yeah.
All right, look at all the teeth. Look at them go. Our special education teacher's room is in a small former janitor's closet. Is that legal?
I'm thinking of words to say that probably aren't appropriate. No. I mean, do you have just one tiny little child in the room? I mean, unless it's a Texas janitor closet.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it like even fire marshal approved? Are there 2 exits in case of a fire? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of questions that need to be asked.
Is there a window? Where do you plug in your refrigerator?
What should I do to make sure my kid has an appropriate ESY program? Sorry, give me a minute.
That's going to be tough. ESY is under the you get what you get, you can't throw a fit category. ESY is to maintain the gains that you've made on IEP goals, right? So you get different teachers. ESY is not really a program, it's a product to make sure that these IEP goals that we chose, that we're still keeping the gains that we made.
Cody saw you at the airport, and he wished he would have gotten your autograph.
Hi, Cody. I know. I'll get you my... I'm so excited, Cody. He's there. Crushing it in Beaumont. But Cody walked right past me on the airplane and didn't recognize my greatness. And so I just had to yell out to his friend Jacob, Jacob!
Wow, that's how you feel, Cody? Okay. Yes. No windows, no fridge, 2 outlets, 4 kids at most, just a whiteboard and a kiddie bean table.
It's going to be a no for me. Mm-mm.
That's a no for me, too. All right. In Michigan, can a long-term substitute without any degree or teacher certification training or prior special education schooling write IEPs carry out the IEP meeting?
No. There. In Michigan, God bless Michigan, we're going to spend the summer together in mediation. Oof. Is it just me, or can y'all hear the lunatic dog?
Okay. No, you just keep freezing on your Zoom, but I can hear you talking through your TikTok, so it's fine.
My Wi-Fi is on.
My son attends a pre-K4 program with the class... Ma'am, just sit there and look pretty while I read this question. My son attends the pre-K4 program with the classification of preschool child with a disability. He is speech delayed with deficits in articulation and expressive language. He will be 5 in June and is not ready for kindergarten. We asked the district to retain him in the special ed pre-K4 program to give him an extra year to grow socially, emotionally, and academically. They're saying it's against the law. Once he turns 5, he is no longer eligible for that program. My gripe is that he was reevaluated so he'd have a new classification of OHI or CI. Can you shed light on this topic?
So I would have the child do kindergarten knowing that I'll probably do it twice. I'd rather him work on those skills knowing that he may not acquire all of them, knowing that it's certainly your option to retain in kindergarten.
Perfect. Can minutes be met when being part of a crisis team? This one was a good question. So a little bit of background was they work in an EBD program and their related staff, SLPs, OTs, and FWs count their IEP minutes when they are helping a child during a crisis that receives related services. Is that legal?
No, a crisis is not part of your schedule of services. It might be your life, but it's not your schedule of services.
Yeah, could you imagine if you could pre-plan? You're gonna have 60 minutes of crisis this 9 weeks
yes,
period.
But only do it on Wednesdays because we are very busy on Thursdays. I feel like, Alicia, we should tell them the wallet story.
The wallet story? We should tell them the wallet story.
We should tell them the wallet story.
I can be your hero, baby.
You were my hero.
I was. So Karen calls me, and she's like, Alicia, I need you to book me a room in Lafayette. And I'm like, okay, why? Because I knew she was going to her daughter's house. I was like, is traffic messed up? Did you get stuck in Lafayette? She's like, no. I made it all the way to Houma and realized I left my wallet at the gas station in Vinton, which is the first exit when you enter Louisiana from Texas.
3 hours prior.
Yeah. So she's like, so I'm driving back to Vinton to get my wallet, and so I'll only make it back to Lafayette for the night, and then I'll go. And I was like, hold up, swole up. I love you. I love you lots. Vinton is where I grew up, and it's 20 minutes from me. How about I go get your wallet, and I meet you in Lafayette and give you your wallet, and then you can turn around and go back to Houma. Instead of making it a 6-hour trip, we'll just make it a 2-hour trip.
And I said, the manager, Crystal, has my wallet. She goes, I know Crystal. And the good people of Lowe's Truck Stop in Vinton, Texas, not a dime was missing out of my wallet or a credit card. It was such a blessing.
You're grounded. If you call it Vinton, Texas one more time.
What's it called?
It's Vinton, Louisiana.
Oh, sorry, Vinton, Louisiana. Same thing. Did I say Texas?
Every time you talked to me on the phone that night, you said Texas, and every time
That's because I was in trauma. I was in trauma.
we didn't plan for those crisis minutes.
Yes, I have served students in Lafayette. Yes, we have lots of students that we care for in parishes. This ain't Texas.
What are your thoughts on LRE?
That is probably one of the worst addressed parts of. Yeah, it's probably one of the worst addressed parts of the document. We should spend a lot of time on LRE and talk about content area instead of just the dump and run of children. So, the least restrictive environment requires us to educate students to the maximum extent possible with supports and services with their non-disabled peers. It doesn't say, this is your program, you're here, you're stuck here. We really fly by it. Yes, we help students in Maryland.
What are your opinions of the district in Louisiana? What are your opinions on Louisiana schools?
Terrible. The way they railroad parents and literally lie in a meeting. Not a little bit, just lie. And nobody, there's not an effective mechanism that we found yet to stop it. So we have some new laws coming in place this school year, but Louisiana is the only state in America with Napoleonic law, meaning that they don't have to abide by prior law. And it's true. They're out there rogue. The nicest people, but some bad leadership.
Yeah. We don't blame the school basement.
No, we love the teachers. But your pupil,
All right,
poor,
16,
pitiful
time to
appraiser.
Which had this question?
It is Alicia who's frozen, isn't it? She's the frozen one. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I can hear like glitching. Sorry. Can a student be placed in a different setting without changing a placement in an IEP for a quote-unquote trial?
If you agreed to that, if you said, hey, Travis, we're gonna, once in a while, a grading period, we're gonna trial Anthony out to see if he's successful in science, and we agree to that. Otherwise, we have to come back and forth to the table. So certainly, that's a possibility.
Yeah, as a special education behavior teacher, we do that. We trial them in different subjects to see which ones they'll be more successful in the general ed classroom before we make a change to the IEP. How long does it take to go through your course to become an advocate?
It depends on which course that you took. So if you join the academy, it would probably take you quite a while to go through all 324 million outfits and 600 outfits. The 2-day intensive is, 8 plus 8? 16 hours long. The Mastermind is about 22 hours long. And that's 6 sessions. It starts this summer. We have them either you can do a private mastermind or we have a group mastermind starting June 13th. Pew pew.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm reading. Can a student be changed from inclusion to consultation because of budget cuts?
So consultation is a service, inclusion is a setting. We don't care about your budget.
Charter school said all SPED staff quit and potentially no staff in the fall to support an IEP. The problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Should any kindergarten age children be in resource pullout?
If that's the appropriate setting, yeah. I have kiddos that have SLDs and they're in resource for kindergarten.
Yeah. When do you expect evaluations before a PPT meeting?
Prior, at least the day before. I can't attend a meeting that I didn't get to prep for. That's a waste of my time, my client's time, and the committee's time. So just like you have the document ahead of time, I'm going to need the document ahead of time. So certainly a couple of days before, because I'd like to be able to prep my client. But when I get into a meeting like, I don't know, this morning, oh, we have the evaluations. You want us to send them over? Or do you want to wait till they're all done? All right. I mean, do you care? Is it just, I feel like if I was giving you the football plays for us to go back to state, we would all have a copy of it. Is that mean? Is that wrong?
No, I mean, Louisiana, it will now be required for next school year that they have to send a draft ahead of time, but the parents have to ask for it. Big fast. All right. Where's the bridge question? Do you like the bridging program, SPED and general ed students together with one gen ed teacher and one SPED co-teacher?
I like any program that's effective for children. So I don't care about programs. I care about the people implementing them. So, a program, occurs in somebody's mind in a conference room. What does it look like boots on the ground? And is it effective for those children?
Can non-special ed kids be placed in a self-contained classroom due to behavior?
No. No. But my ex-husband can.
Yeah. All right. I requested an IEP meeting that my child not be penalized for a state test. She was diagnosed with ADHD.
Is that a question?
I don't know. I was waiting to see if the next one came in, but it didn't.
Yeah, so the state test is a state test. We can do a lot of things about a lot of things. That's not one of them. So, it's part of the gig. We can't get rid of it.
Okay. Charlene, did I read all the ones you didn't finish? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to read this one. We're going to end on this one. I know you didn't read this one. Is the school required by law to put up a fence to ensure the safety of their students while being outside because there is no fence and the students have access to dangerous areas such as the retention pond, the parking lot, and a busy street?
No. No requirement under IDEA about playground enclosures. I think it's interesting that a lot of schools have a 3-sided enclosure. Or you couldn't have done the 4th side. It makes sense to me, but it's not a requirement. Ooh.
All right, now answer where they can get a hold of you. How can they have a meeting with you? How can they get set up with one of your partners?
Just come over to the house. We're at the end of the cul-de-sac. So if you want to reach out to us.
Not my house.
Oh. Unless you leave your wallet in Vinton, Louisiana. Boom. So if you want to reach out to us, it's advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. We have lots of opportunities for you to get smarter. If you would like representation, if you'd like a records review, we have a whole team of people. Again, reach out to us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. If you're interested in myself or for me to speak at an event or professional development, you can reach out to us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. Alicia's in charge of all of us, and she makes sure that we act right. This is a very good time for you to get a records review and to see if you, in fact, need to file because this year is over. And so we have a little bit more time in our schedules now, so reach out to us, and one of our advocates will get you headed in the right direction.
Okay, if you had a pre-submitted question and we did not read it tonight, I will either, 1, get a response from Karen and email it back to you, or 2, we'll ask it next week. And somebody's asking how you can email how you can ask longer questions, email them. We don't always answer them on the live if they're super long. Me and Karen normally jump on a Zoom and get through as many emails as we can together. So just know that. If you're missed part of the live, I've seen somebody ask that. We do post all of our full lives on our YouTube, Special Education Academy YouTube. We post them by the end of the week the live happened. We do chop up all the lives and post them on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube.
TikTok?
Yeah.
Is that TikTok with a lisp? I got TikTok.
TikTok. And anyway, so if you missed your question, if you joined late, if you want to watch any previous lives, they're all on our YouTube channel. They're on all of our social medias, all the good things. If you want to keep up with everything, you want to join our email list, just shoot us an email. We'll automatically add you to the list. Am I missing anything, boss?
No, we did just add Clara. Am I saying it right? We just added finance. Clara. We partnered with them. So if you have one of our products that you want and you want financing for it, that application process is now available. We still have our own payments, but this is actually financing through them. So we just partnered with them, and that's on there as well. All right. Well, it's been fun. It's been real.
Hold on. In the academy, that starts in 30 minutes. If you miss how to join, there's a pinned video on Karen's TikTok page. They took the sound off, which I'm kind of sad about. But
Yeah, what happened?
it'll show you step by step on how to join. You know, that one company didn't renew with TikTok, so all their songs got removed. Yeah.
This ain't Texas. Woo! Okay.
But there is a step-by-step video of instructions on how to join us, so you can join us tonight.
And while you're watching it, just hum to yourself. I mean, that would do it for me. Okay. And how you become an advocate is you would take at least a 2-day intensive, and then consider taking the Mastermind. That really is how you are ready to get out there and serve kids and give families hope and give kids a future. Remember, we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. We'll see you guys in the next training.